Welcome to Seagull, the podcast where two rivals meet, Crystal Palace and Brighton and Hove Albion, where football is simple until we explain it.
This week at Palace, another Conference League night ends in anticlimax. Our first win of 2026 at home over Wolves, and the fans turn on Glasner.
This week at Brighton, an away win, an actual win away from home, and a clean sheet. It's like Christmas, Andy.
We discuss all of this and much, much more, because this is Seagull Eagle.
Hello, Andy.
Neil, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm definitely chirpier than I was last week.
Well, I mean, this is a rarity these days, but we're actually doing a podcast where we've both won a game.
I know. It's a little bit unnerving in some respects, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, mate, but I've literally just got back. We're recording this on Sunday evening. I've just got back, driven back from London, and just kind of, gathered my thoughts, Neil, and we pressed record. And I don't feel like we did win a game, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, I get your point. Look, I mean, it is still a positive weekend. Both teams 3 points. And we've also got another game to talk about as well. Obviously, you had your European game as well.
I'm not too worried if we don't talk about that. We can just brush over that.
We're definitely going to have time for that.
Okay.
Let's start with what's fresh in your mind, though, Andy. Let's talk about it, as you've got such a beautiful smiley grin on your face.
Mate.
So, full time at Selhurst Park. You did win 1-0 against Wolverhampton Wanderers. 10 men, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Discuss.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, I guess before we go into this, look, Wolves had no wins. I repeat, no wins away from home all season, right?
Yeah.
You quite rightly predicted, Andy, no worries on this one. You're going to get 3 points. I guess you were right, but you weren't right about the first bit of it, the no worries bit. Palace, obviously, just one win in 15, and you know where that came from, and not a single home win in 2026, right? So I've been driving my way up to London to disappointment upon the return for the whole year. We've kind of got used to that disappointment.
Yeah.
This game was never going to be a classic. Let's be honest, it wasn't. It was quite a hard watch, mate. And I worry that this isn't going to be great content for a podcast, because I need to try and find some form of entertainment within this ramble that I'm about to do. But
you're absolutely fine, mate. I can add the entertainment.
All right. Okay, good. All right. Well, let's just start as we normally start. Lineups. Glasner made 4 changes from the team that drew in Bosnia on Thursday. On Thursday. Canvo came in for Lacroix, who is injured, unfortunately. So we're now down to bare bones again in defence. Obviously, Lerma's out at the moment as well. Hughes, Mitchell and Pino returned to the starting 11 after the changes that he made for Europe. I mean, look, the first half probably... look, first of all, it was weird, right? It was weird going into that stadium after the pre-match conference that Glasner did prior to the game, where, oh, mate, I mean, I don't even know how to start unpacking this. He basically kind of almost fought back a little bit to the fans. We'll go into a bit further detail, but I guess just the context behind it for those that didn't hear what was said in the pre-match. In essence, it was basically that Palace have just had their most successful year ever, won their first major trophy, won the Community Shield, created moments of a lifetime, which I don't think anybody from a Palace perspective could ever argue with, right? And that isn't what's under debate here. But what riled the Palace fans, and I think quite rightly, was his stay humble comments. It's that kind of, it's that same argument that the West Ham fans were having with David Moyes at the time. That whole, and then there's them people, there's a guy on Talk Sport at the moment that was arguing the same point towards the Palace fans about how, careful what you wish for. To my reply is just a win. is what I'm wishing for at the moment, mate. I mean, one win in 15 against Brighton ain't particularly great form, mate. I don't care how many trophies you've won. You said you didn't want to be at the club, pretty much.
But that's the point, though, isn't it, Andy? It's the attitude of Glasner at the moment that you can just feel it in the way that he's talking. The press conference in particular, again, it was another one of those. Do you know what I likened it to? Way back when, do you remember when Roy Hodgson was England manager, right?
Yeah.
And do you remember when he got the sack because we lost against Iceland? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And then he had to do a press conference after he got the sack. And he was sitting there going, well, I don't even know why I'm here. You know, and that's what it felt like. It felt like a petulant child. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, it's so. I've got a very damaged relationship with Oliver Glasner because do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be this guy who's like, you know, because I know that we clip this all up and certain bits of it go out on social media and stuff like that, and I don't want to be that guy who like just rips the manager who gave us our best ever moments, because that's not what this is about, right? All of that, like, he's got stuff in the bank, right? He's got stuff in the bank, and I believe he's used the stuff up in the bank now, right? This is what I'm trying to say, right? I don't for one second disregard anything that he's done, but what I am saying is that this guy is a PR disaster, and he is causing problems, right? So much so that he came out and basically told the fans, in essence, that they needed to stay humble, to which went down like a cup of cold sick, in fact, a jug of cold sick, and therefore the result of this was that it was very awkward. It was very awkward. And it was a very weird atmosphere at the start of that game. And I was just waiting. I was waiting for something to happen. It's like going to a party with two of your mates who hate each other and them kind of just making small talk. And you're waiting for that first drink to be drunk and the first fist to be thrown. And I was waiting for that. And it did get thrown. And I think, to be fair, Glasner's got out of this a bit lucky today. We'll talk about it now. But anyway, look, first half, Pino had the first chance, picking up a really sloppy Wolves back pass. You can see why they are where they are, is the truth of the matter, with stuff like that going on. Pino was clear through on goal, and decided in a very Pino way to go for the glorious as opposed to the simple. And instead of just having a shot, because it was one-on-one with the keeper, he was talented enough to go for that. He decided that he was going to do a lob and missed it spectacularly.
He had all the time in the world, though, as well. He could have got a lot closer. He could have taken the goalie on. He could have done anything.
Just a touch would have been enough, and it was really frustrating. So that's kind of like first ones show their cards, Pino, and he dropped them all over the table, and then along came Wolves. Quite a few chances for them. Header from a corner, just wide of the post. Well worked move from Wolves, saved quite well by Henderson from that, and then he made another good save from a free kick in the half-hour mark, which I think he made it look comfortable, but I think it was a good chance that they had.
It's good feet to get him in the right position to make it look easy. I think that was the thing.
Absolutely. And then that's where this banner was raised, which I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to fall out with the Holmesdale fanatics of all people. They are my friends, but I don't agree with how they did this. I think they could have found a better time. You think of the dynamics of this, right? Already unsettled stadium, people already kind of shouting out, out overwhelming displays of disgruntledness happening from various different sections that people that I hadn't even noticed before, that I've sat with for years, are getting the ump. We get a corner, and we're defending a corner, and right behind the goal, this banner appears.
Explain to everyone what it says.
Well, the banner said, "Opportunities missed, board inept, fans disrespected, Glasner finished." Right? So you could imagine that, like, that's gone up behind them as they're trying to defend this corner. And I feel like it kind of detracts a little bit from what's going on the pitch. I mean, like, what they've said, I don't fully disagree with in that respect. But I don't know. I don't know whether it was helping them at that exact time. Maybe that could have happened at the end of the game or something. I don't quite know. But I guess that the fans wanted the most publicity and at the right time. And I guess up until that point, I do wonder whether the Holmesdale fanatics were sat there with that big banner underneath their seat going, are we doing this? Now's a good time because it's been quite bad up until this point. So maybe if we'd have gone 1-0 up, maybe it wouldn't have been shown. I don't know. But clearly they wanted their voices heard. And I do think that Glasner disrespected them. He did come out afterwards and said that he kind of blamed it in being lost in translation a little bit. And I think he's trying to kind of rekindle, but he basically said that he was misunderstood. What he was saying was that Oliver Glasner, referring to himself as a third person, that Oliver Glasner wasn't the most important one in this conversation. It was the football club. And if the football club wanted to move in a different direction, he wouldn't stand in their way. That isn't how the rest of the world interpreted that, because that's not what he said.
Yeah.
But he said about the stay humble thing, he was like, it wasn't meant as a disrespect, and he's sorry, and he also understands that the fans can vent in their own when that's their way to do it. He didn't pick a fight with them against Day. If anything, he's backtracked, but I do think it's a bit late. But anyway,
he does that a lot, though, doesn't he? He says something, and then he backtracks, and it's just biding his time. That's all he's doing.
I think with the way that I look at this is, like if you hate your job and you speak to your boss, you pretend you love your job, don't you? And then if you speak to your colleagues, you go, oh, mate, I've had a crap day, all this kind of stuff. And, I hate Gina in accounts or whatever it is. And I think he forgets who he's talking to, and he puts on this corporate face for the cameras afterwards, but sometimes he forgets to do that. I think we all know what his actual feelings are.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But anyway, we go from there. So Palace's best chance at that point was from a corner, it was quite nice actually. It was something off the training grounds. Will Hughes kind of did this right before he kicked the ball, and we all thought, "Hang on, what's going on here?" And basically. It was kind of he chose to pass it to Pino instead of crossing it in, and then Pino kind of hit the post, and it was really close. So. We did have our chances, but we certainly were not dominating that game, and we certainly were not playing with any form of confidence. If anything, we were playing scared. And I'm not surprised, because if I was playing the game on that football pitch at home, it wouldn't feel like a home game to me, is the truth of the matter. 40 minutes, Walton brought down Mane inside the box.
This was the big moment, wasn't it, really, of the half?
Yeah, it was, and I can't really argue with it, mate. I mean, the thing is, we already had Hughes on a yellow. We had Walton getting a yellow for that, and there was kind of there was a lot of physicality in the middle there because obviously the game has started opening up a little bit. But anyway, this is where we really thought, and at this point, I mean, mate, I was already really annoyed, right? I was just sat there really annoyed. Me and my son didn't even say a word to each other up until this point, which we were like, oh God, here we go. Bloke steps up for the penalty. It weren't a great penalty, to be fair, but also Henderson picked the right way, and he dived to his right, and it was a strong save. And if there's anyone there to save a penalty, it's Hendo, right? England's number 1, 2. And then just before that penalty, though, something quite interesting happened, because a lot of the Palace fans might not have seen this, and I only saw this because it happened right in front of me, Neil, about 10 rows in front of me. So I kind of sit in the main stand. So like if you're sat down in the stand looking at the pitch, to the left of me is the padded seats, the director's box where Paris sits, and obviously you've got the dugout and all that. So I'm kind of in the first normal bit on the right hand side. And there was a fan who was getting really frustrated, like everyone else was, but verbalised it towards Glasner, who was only sat 5 seats away from where Glasner was standing, and Glasner bit back. Which I didn't think I'd see. And I would love, if anyone was near me and heard it and actually worked out what he actually said to him back, I'd love to know. But he did shout back to him, which point there was a little bit of panic around the box, which was like, Are we safe here? Because that's genuinely the atmosphere that I was experiencing. And then all of a sudden, about 2 or 3 minutes later, 6 or 7 stewards kind of marched down to the front and then escorted this guy who was not a yob in any way, shape or form, right? Just a normal middle-aged man who got frustrated. I escorted him to where the toilets are in the main stand at the top of the stand. And at that point, it was half time. So I'd come round, and I was kind of one of the first ones out of my seat. Like, I waited to the whistle, and then he was stood there, and the stewards were like, "Don't worry about it, it's all cool," and they let him go back again. So clearly it was all a bit of an overreaction. But the fact that Glasner bit back, it just shows you kind of what it was like there. Toxic, mate.
He heard the comment. He literally turned round and said something to this guy, whatever it was.
Shouted at him. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'm gonna scour social media this evening and see if I can find it.
Bearing in mind it was 0-0 at that point, we'd saved the penalty, and to be fair, we were lucky to go into lowly Wolves 0-0 at half time.
Yeah.
This wasn't going well, mate.
So if we just take the performance of that first 45 minutes for a second, so forget the Glasner theatrics and Holmesdale putting up a sign and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, you guys as supporters are in a bad mood, right? Anyway, because of everything that's happened over the last week or so. But the actual performance on the pitch, how did it feel to you that first 45 minutes?
It felt shaky. Truthfully, mate, to me, I feel like I'm really sticking the dagger in this week, but it felt like we're a team without a plan. It felt like we're a team who've got a clear identity, right?
Yes.
In terms of the style we're meant to be playing.
Definitely.
And it feels like we're flogging a dead horse at the moment. We're trying to play a style and a system that isn't working. Right. And I feel like everybody around us has worked out the secret and worked out what we're doing. And now we've lost Gahey, say, for example. We know that, like, our defence isn't as quick or as forward fronting. I always say like an attacking defence. I know it's very strange.
No, I know what you mean.
Like, there's that whole kind of, you don't need to defend if your defenders have got an eye on attack and stop it from getting into your own half. And so there's that bit of it. So there's the confidence bit that is clearly lacking, but then there's the continuously playing it around and like the example is, right, and we'll talk about this a little bit about the second half, but like I kept saying to my son in the second half, like, remember back to when it was going well, when we couldn't be beaten, right? Mm-hmm. And we would let them have the possession, we'd nick the ball in midfield, and with 2 or 3 passes, we would have scored, right?
That was always the thing, wasn't it? The speed of pass, the directness, and the pace that you had.
Yeah. But no longer is it 2 or 3 passes. What happens is we get the ball back, we pass it sideways, we try and get it out to the wide players. We can't do that. And the reason for that is because whoever's intercepting the ball isn't playing the ball forward enough, or the people aren't in the right positions, because they talk about diagonals, right? That triangular system. Whereas, you know, like if you got the ball, you should be able to play it left diagonal or right diagonal or through the middle if they're not right in front of you. And that isn't happening. They're not moving off the ball in the same way that they were before. And also people know what we're doing now, right? They're watching the videos. And obviously what we don't have is that moment of brilliance and that spark and creativity of the players, because some of our players aren't on form, some of them have we've got new people come in. So I think it's a combination of lots of things, but there was mate, I mean, look, we'll talk about it now if you want.
Go on, then, second half, let's talk about that.
Kamada replaced Hughes because obviously he was on a yellow card, clearly on a self-destruct mission, but one of the only players that was playing his heart out. Do you get what I mean? So, like, I think everybody knew, like, we all said it at half time, he's one tackle away from a red, right? It's not worth it. Kamada came on, hoping, obviously, that what you miss with the tussle, you get pace with Kamada, right? So the idea was to kind of try and pick that up a bit. But truthfully, not much really changed, mate. Pino unable to get the ball into any good threatening areas. Sarr making moves and looking. He was the only real threat, to be fair, but he weren't really getting any support. He was running the ball forward, looking up, going, no one's followed me. I've got no options to my left, and so on. And then predictably, what happens, Neil? The same thing in every bloody game at the moment, and the same thing that happened in Bosnia, which is that they reverted into an even deeper position, which made our problems even more, right? So then the frustration on the pitch got even more visible. The tensions in the stadium grew even more. And at this point, right, the Holmesdale, obviously, who were in charge of the singing in the singing area, they decided that they were going to work their way through all of the Ollie Glasner chants and replace Ollie Glasner out of every single one of them. Right? Yeah,
I love that. Oh my God!
All right,
really?
So that was the next one. So Oliver Glasner chant sung with his name deleted in all of them, which I did chuckle a little bit on that one. Wolves fans were like, "We haven't won a game ever away. How rubbish are you?" Like, that's all going on at the same time. I mean, we're cut, and then there's like banter going backwards and forwards between us.
Yeah.
Anyway. our lifeline then appeared in the form of what can only refer to as potentially one of the luckiest moments of our season, where obviously this guy gets a yellow card for not much to start off with, and then he then as this tussle, the ball nearly goes out, then it doesn't, and then he ends up giving away a corner. He kind of kicks the ball, looks up, and goes, what have I done? Gets a second yellow card. Right?
It's not worth a yellow card, is it? I mean, the first one's not even a yellow card. The second one, I mean, come on. Jeez, really?
Problem is, though, this dude loves a yellow card, right?
Yeah,
this referee was chucking him around. So that then gave us 25 minutes, Neil. 25 minutes of the second half against bottom side Wolves, who haven't won a game away all season, with an extra man on the pitch to find a way through. I mean, what better gift can you get? And we struggled. Right? We struggled like hell. What followed was then 25 minutes of us lacking any form of creative direction, play. Yes, there were a couple of opportunities that could have gone in, but there's just no cutting edge. There's no sharpness. It's like they're just all nervous and edgy, and obviously the worse it got on the pitch, the worse it got in the stadium. Gessan came on. He was introduced to kind of get a bit more forward fronting, and he did make an impact, right? And I think that was the first time that Glasner got shown any love in the stadium, which was, okay, finally, right, you actually making a substitution with a decent amount of time. And he did it. He passed the ball forward, not scared to take the players on. And then we started getting a little bit of momentum after Gessan came on, and then we ended up with this situation right at the end where Richard clashed with Hugo Bueno in the box, and he was down for quite a long time. A little bit concerned about him, to be brutally honest. It was a clash of heads. Obviously, then Richards ended up kind of looking like the hero with this big bandage covered in blood. And every time he headed the ball after that point, I was like, ooh, I don't know how they do that. I really don't know how they do that. But there we go. They get paid a lot of money. So
they do.
So, yes, anyway, Richards hopefully is going to be all right, because if he's out, we are back the academy players in defence.
I mean, the fact that he played on, I would imagine, therefore, he'll be fine. I don't think it's a big issue. I think the worry is when, obviously, they take them off, they have to follow the concussion protocol, which could be like a week to 10 days. So in that sense, at least, I think you'll be all right with him.
So then we were looking really, I mean, that whole Richards thing got sorted at, just before 90 minutes. And I think then we're still sat at 0-0, bang on 90 minutes. Walton finds this pass to Mitchell out on the left wing, which is something that we'd been trying to do for the whole game. He found Gessan, who then hit it first time for quite a simple goal, actually, but not as simple when you take into account the fact that he was in the right place at the right time and read it and all that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of goal that we should be scoring.
It's the first bit of quality, really, I saw for quite a while in that game. I mean, it was a lovely little cross. It wasn't high. It was a driven cross, and Gessan was just in the right place, wasn't he, basically? And the first touch straight in. And it was, I was so gutted, because honestly, it was the first time I'd been watching the game, right? And I'd had the volume turned down, right? Because I can't stand listening to the Palace fans. And it was the first time, about a minute before it, I was looking at the clock going, 87, 88 minutes, 0-0 against 10 men. I might turn this up, see how annoyed everyone is, and all that sort of stuff. So I turned it up, waiting for all the groans. And then literally you scored. It's just...
Yeah. And the thing is, right, don't get me wrong, like I automatically got onto my feet, and I didn't jump and scream like I should have because of scoring a goal in 90 minutes. I clapped. And then I turned to this guy that I sit next to, who, to be brutally honest, we don't talk that much. Every now and again, there's like that was good or whatever. But
yeah, I get you.
And we both looked at each other and kind of just went, doesn't feel like we're about to win this game, does it? It's just a really weird feeling, because we're all just so frustrated and so annoyed about it all. Anyway, there was one other thing actually that I wanted to just kind of refer to, because obviously the rest of injury time, I think Camvo had a chance that we could have won it, kind of by a bit of a bigger margin at the end, kind of just went wide. But I still wasn't confident that Wolves weren't going to come back, actually, to be fair, until the end as well. They did have a couple of chances. So, but one thing that I've never witnessed, I don't know whether you have, quite a few firsts in this game for me, was that in that second half, when it was dismal, right? The long throw situation was really winding people up, right? So the example is, ball goes out, We wait for Richards to run over. Richards then gets the ball, cleans it with his shirt. He throws the long throw in, and every single time it's happened over the last however long since we've won a game at home, that we haven't scored from that scenario for a very long time, since that 15-game run, right?
Yeah.
But we've been continuing to stick with that tactic. So 5 or 6 of these long throws go in, groans, moans, turns into shouts, turned into yelling, turned into Glasner getting, why are we continuing to do this, from about 1,000 fans, to the point where Glasner doesn't listen, Richards listens, and Muniz listens, and Richards goes to take a long throw. The whole of the Homesdale stands up and goes, no,
Really?
stop. Yep, stop. Why are we doing this? This is wrong, right? So then he then throws it short to Muniz. Then the next time the ball goes out, no more long throws for the whole game. So fan power actually took into effect on this game. Mate, I promise you, I've just come from this really weird situation at Selhurst. It's the strangest 90 minutes of my life, mate.
One of the strangest things I think is this whole, for this season in particular, this whole just transfer now into, let's just use a long throw for every situation. Every team's doing it. It's just become the new thing.
My beef isn't about the philosophy, because a lot of people have got to be in their bonnet about the philosophy of a long throw. It's ruining the game. You know, it's boring. It's like watching Stoke on Thursday night or whatever.
No.
But like, from my perspective, I was loving the long throws when we were scoring goals
when
from
it's
them.
working.
I think the point being is that it's the same tactics. It's not working, and we don't feel like Glasner got asked in his pre-match press conference. Have you thought about, I mean, there's some great questions asked him, right? Have you thought about changing the formation, Oliver? Like, why are we sticking with what we're doing right now? I think you might have been found out, is pretty much the question. His reply was, we did change the formation to 4 at the back in training, and it didn't work this week. What we haven't done is reviewed, why are we continuing with long throws? Why are we continuing with sideways play? Why are we not breaking quicker? Why, like, do you get what I mean? Like, it's all of this, and it's just, I don't know, he's not got control of this, mate. He's not, and his heart is 100% in. Like, that's the thing, and I love the guy. He's given us the best time ever.
He's checked out.
He's checked out, man. He's moved on. Let him move on. Anyway, I really thought that after that press conference, we would have a new manager by this game. In fact, it was the Bosnia situation with the home fans chanting, "You're getting sacked in the morning," was enough. That to me was,
we can talk about that in a
lost
minute.
them. But anyway, look, to conclude, it was a narrow win. I don't think we deserved it. I think if Wolves were still fighting to stay in the league, I think they'd be a bit annoyed. I think they don't particularly care anyway now, because obviously they've got nothing to play for.
I was going to run through a few stats at you, because I think that indicates how even the game was, I think. You know, when you look at XG, possession, all those sorts of things. So possession, actually Palace had the majority of the possession, but obviously you've got to think about the fact that 10 men for a lot of that game as well. So that helps that situation. But XG, you both basically had the same XG, right? 1.67 Palace, 1.68 for Wolves. So the shots, Wolves still managed 12 shots, 7 on target. You know,
we let them in. This is the problem, though. We're letting people in.
Yeah, and that never used to happen, mate. That never used to happen.
No, it really didn't. And I think, you know, the fact of the matter is, and I'm going to say this out loud, and it is true, and there might be some fans that disagree with me, we shouldn't have won that game, and we struggled to beat a 10-man Wolves. So do I think that our problems are over because we got 3 points? No, I don't.
No.
All we've done is pushed it further down till next Thursday, when we've got to try and beat another low block. And I would suggest that potentially this problem's only going to get worse until we make a change, because we've got a shaky team on that pitch who are lacking confidence and lacking a knowledge of what to do on that pitch and how to be, so much so that they stopped listening to their manager and they listened to the people on the terraces I mean, when have you ever seen that in a football match? Crazy.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, listen, it sounds like a loss, but actually it's a win. You ended up with 3 points.
And I think what we now 13th. I think last time I checked. I'm not sure. Obviously, the Tottenham game didn't change anything, did they? Because they lost.
No, so you're 13th, played 27. You have 35 points, which is one more than Brighton and Hove Albion, who are in 14th place after their win this weekend on Saturday.
You were
against
ahead
Brentford.
of us for yesterday afternoon. Did it feel all right?
It was but a moment, Andy. But a moment. But yeah.
Yeah.
So should we talk about the Brentford game?
Mate, do it, because by all accounts, I feel like, obviously, I'm now in the place you were in a couple of weeks ago. I feel like this could be a corner turned, because from what I saw and from what I've read, the world is telling me that you got your confidence back in the final third, and that what is it, your first league win since the 3rd of Jan?
Yeah, that's right, the Burnley game. So that's 2 wins that we've had now since the beginning of December.
Yeah.
It's not great, mate.
No, but
look,
was, mate, Brentford are on one, right? They had an opportunity to go into the top 6, I think, if they'd have won this game.
Yeah, I'm going to be relatively positive, right? Because I think I've been negative for good reason over the last few weeks. But I think trying to stay positive on this one. First of all, it's a win. Fantastic. Wasn't expecting it, right? Yep. Okay, that's great news. And that stops people going on and on about the whole we haven't won since type thing. Let's talk about the lineups, though, and some of the things. If you remember last week, Andy, when I got on my little soapbox and I started talking about things, I said that something's going to have to change. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, okay?
Yeah.
And I said either something has to change with the manager, something has to change with the tactics, something, we have to do something different to try and change this luck, this run that we're on. And I think we saw a little change this weekend, which I was very surprised but very pleased with. Okay,
Tell me, what was it, Neil? What was it?
It was subtle, mate. It was subtle. Right. So lineups wise, he definitely went mature and professional with his lineup. Okay, so in came Milner, starting his record-breaking Premier League appearance, and he came in central defensive midfielder in the place that he's learned all of his skills really a majority of the time. And I have to say, I cannot believe the age that he is, the level that he is playing at this moment in time.
Yeah. He did well, didn't he?
He played 85 minutes, and I'm hopeful that someone will take that recording of his performance. Hopefully they had a camera on him for a whole 85 minutes, and they give it to Carlos Baleba. And I'll talk about that more in a bit. All right. So the main difference formation-wise was that we had 3 real midfielders in the midfield. And what I mean by that is a lot of the time we're playing with like a number 10, someone off the striker, such as, Rutter sometimes, whatever. But this time the formation was very much a 4-3-3. Okay. It was very much 3 midfielders. And those 3 midfielders was Milner, as I said, and Pascal Gross and Jack Hinchelwood. Okay. And the 3 of them were much more, I liken it to, closest I would liken it to in the way that we played was Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. Okay.
Yeah.
In the way that they had 3 really set midfielders, one would just sit constantly and the other 2 would be up and down those channels, just in between sort of the fullbacks and the central defenders constantly. And they would both get back and they would both get forward. And I think that's probably the easiest way I would describe it. So neither of them, Gross or Hinchelwood, really played as a 10, but neither of them played completely as a centre midfield. They went up and down constantly. So it was a really nice mix of midfielders. The next thing that they did, lineup-wise, was Weaver was back at right back. Now, I've said many things about Weaver, but what I would say is, having not had him around for quite a while, you suddenly start to realise what he does bring when he is in the team. And the thing that he brings, which is what happened in this game, was that the tweaks that they made were to make sure that when we had possession of the ball, we were so much tougher to be counter-attacked on by Weaver coming in and sitting with Milner at centre defensive midfielder area. So he would tuck in rather than being a bombing fullback a lot of the time. And you had Ferdy on the other side doing that on occasion as well. So suddenly our defensive formation, even when we had the ball, the way we were attacking, we were flooding the middle of the field. Whereas normally on here, mate, I am talking so much about how we evacuate the midfield and there's nobody there. And suddenly, do you remember? Like, I talk about this all the time. So it was a real change. It was subtle, but it was a real change. And I think the fullbacks were the ones that were the key sort of tactics as well, where they didn't overlap, they underlapped. When they had the opportunity, they underlapped, and the wingers stayed wide. Gomez was on one side, Matoma was on the other. And throughout the game, that position of having a fullback in that sort of underlapping position really helped. And early chances we created through these situations. Matoma actually had the closest opportunity. I think it was about 15 minutes in, where he managed to find a little gap in between the fullback and the centre-back, which I think was the tactic through the whole game, constantly trying to find the gap between the centre-back and the full-back in that little channel. He had an opportunity, didn't quite come off. He ran through, got it in front of the keeper, but couldn't quite get to it. The first goal, though, comes from that situation again, where we were very calm in possession, like we always are, but this time, where suddenly we didn't quite have any ideas, because of the way that we were set up, we didn't go gung-ho constantly. We looked for a hole. We looked for a little runner from midfield, rather than having a 10 that was just back to the goal and waiting for a pass, not moving anywhere. We had runners going past our striker. And it made a big difference to how Brentford could cover each runner. And the first goal comes from Matoma passing it back to Ferdy. Ferdy having a lovely shot from outside the box. The second time in just over a week that he's hit the crossbar from an outside the box.
Oh.
It was a great curling shot. Really deserved a goal. But it comes off the crossbar. And lo and behold, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Gomez suddenly and surprisingly has composure to score a goal. 30 minutes in.
On the rebound, yeah. He did all right.
He did. And I you know, I'm not going to change my mind on him, but he at least in that moment had the composure to bring the ball down and tuck it away. 1-0 up. And, you know, we've had a good, strong opening 30 minutes to the game. Brentford, I would say, the one thing I would say about Brentford is, right, usually they are quite dynamic in the way that they play. And they were a little subdued, I would say, on Saturday.
I do think they had a bit of an off day. And that, by the way, just to clarify, I'm not saying you should have won this game, right? You were the better team, and so it's not that they didn't turn up, but they weren't the Brentford that have churned out the results that they've got in their past few games, right?
I think you're right, mate. I do think that. I think they were a little subdued. I think one of the big misses for them was Coyote, who's been fantastic as a right back, but also, as we were talking about with the Palace game, he is their long throw specialist.
Yes.
So they didn't have their long throw specialist. Now, they had other people that can throw it in, but Coyote is the one that, like, old timers will know what I mean here. Rory Delap. Yeah. So not Liam Delap, Rory Delap, what I'm talking about here. Used to play for Stoke, and he used to be able to sling it straight into the box. Coyote is the same type of player who can really get power behind the throw. And I think they were missing that a little bit, that set play option, you know. The second goal is another example. Go on, what?
Someone give Nathan Collins a Brighton shirt. I mean, crikey.
Oh, man. Second goal.
Yeah.
I mean, he came on the pitch 20 seconds before that. So he came on for, I don't know who it was that got injured. One of the other centre-backs got injured. Full-back, sorry, Aaron Hickey. That's who it was. And so they brought a centre-back on and then moved the other guy to right-back. But yeah, I mean, he was literally 20 seconds on the pitch.
He made a complete mess of it. And I mean, he might as well have tied a ribbon around it before he gave it to him. It was
Christmas, Andy. It was absolutely Christmas. Welbeck's not going to get an easier goal than that one, really. But having said that, going back to what I was saying earlier about the tactics, so the goal comes from Jack Insherwood running through between the gap between the centre back and the full back again. A runner deep from midfield running through. And so again, that situation arises from the tactics that have come out from the manager in that sense. So that worked really well. 2-0 up. And I think you could see when we scored our second goal, all of the players, you could just see the confidence and I suppose the relief on them, knowing that it's 2 goals, and that's a big difference, obviously, than it's been like recently. We haven't even scored a goal in 3 games. So be able to actually score 2 goals, mate, and feel like, oh, hang on, this is a bit of a gap now. This is breathing space. This game's here for us to take, and you could see it in the players' faces. And so look, 2-0 up at half time, and I would say it's easily one of our better performances. Okay, so the only other game that I would liken this to, ironically, was our last, I think, away win, which was Nottingham Forest a while back. Okay, I think that was October, November time, whenever that was. So, and again, it felt like a really confident performance. And I think the major difference for me through the whole of this game, and the second half is a really good example of how the game went and highlighted this even more, was that we had such a strong defensive foundation in the second half. And that was led mostly, we controlled the game mostly, but it was led mostly by James Milner. And as I said earlier, if someone could take a tape and give that to Carlos Baleba and say, have a look at this, right? This is a guy that hasn't got your speed, right? He hasn't got your youth or anything like that, but what he's got years of experience. And what he's not doing is he's not trying to take on loads of players. He's understanding that his job in this role at the moment is to ensure that if there are any fires coming, he's got the fire extinguisher. He will look for anything that's happening and stop it.
He's
Simple
reading
as
the
that.
game.
Yeah.
He's reading the game.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of beef, by the way,
Go
about Milner and his record that he's just broken.
Oh, right. Go on. What?
I don't want to take anything away from him, right? I don't want to take anything away from him. Well, I mean, he's broken Gareth Barry's record, right?
Yeah.
What is it? 654 games. Yeah.
If you say so, yeah.
But if you have a look at the actual record that Gareth Barry had before Milner's taken it, right?
I know what you're going to say.
The actual minutes that Milner has played compared to Gareth Barry equates to nearly 100 games more for Gareth Barry than Milner. So the example being, these stats count if obviously Milner comes on and plays the last few minutes of a Brighton game or whatever. He's been slowly kind of ticking them up. But so I think it's a little. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't want to take anything away from Milner, but I kind of want to highlight for Gareth Barry's perspective that it's a little bit harsh the way the stats are recorded, because technically Barry's played probably 100 games more in terms of actual minutes of football.
Yeah, no,
sorry, Brighton fans.
Oh, don't have to be sorry. Gareth Barry was a Brighton player too, so I'm fine with that. He was, I say a Brighton player. He never actually played for Brighton. He was a youth player.
I didn't remember him being a Brighton player.
That's where he started with us at Brighton.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go then.
But no, I get your point, mate. I totally do. I mean, I don't care either way. I think it was a bit of a...
It matters not. It's just good to look at the stats.
Yeah, no, I agree. As I said last week, I think it's been a bit of a distraction, and I think I'm glad it's just over and done with now. What?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think, and to be fair to James Milner, he said exactly the same thing. He said, I don't really care at this moment in time. I'm still playing football. I want to win the game. That's all I really care about.
That's brilliant. I don't really care, but I've got some bespoke football boots that I'm going to wear, and all of the other bits and pieces. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
Fair play to him, though, mate, because mate, I mean, that's going to be a hard record for someone to beat.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
And I think, going back to my point, I just think that there is, he can't play that many minutes all of the time, right? But in a situation that we were in where we needed maturity, calm heads, and people that have been there and done it, let's be honest, James Milner ticks all those boxes. And I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And with Pascal Gross one side of him, Jack Hinchelwood the other side of him, and then when we were attacking, Weaver tucking in, who's, fit as a fiddle now as well and strong and quick. It just looked a more solid performance in that sense. And I think, ironically, being able to change the tactics ever so subtly, but tweak them, not having a number 10, but having two, as I said earlier, two real, honest, classic midfielders that will go box to box and realise their defensive expectations and responsibilities. I think it made a huge difference. The second half played out relatively how Brighton probably would have wanted it to, in the sense that Brentford had the majority of the ball.
Very unlike you.
I know, but Brentford had the majority of the ball, yes, but they didn't do much with it. We kept them in front of us most of the time. There was one opportunity near the end of the game where Damsgaard got through, and to be fair, he should have scored. He tried to lob the goalkeeper and just mucked it up completely, and he should have scored. That should have been 2-1.
And I bet every Brighton fan was like, "Here it goes.
Honestly,
here we go."
Exactly that moment when he didn't score that, I was like, oh. Okay, we might actually get this then, because that was the one when you saw it happening. I was like, "Because you're just waiting for it, aren't you?" As a Brighton fan, we are waiting for that scenario where they get one, and then the pressure is on us. They start throwing the kitchen sink at us, and obviously it's going to end 2-2. That's just the way it's going to end. But not this Saturday, Andy. Not this Saturday. We actually get to the final whistle blowing, and we have got 3 points, an away win, and a clean sheet at Brentford. Andy.
And,
mate, it's great. It's fantastic, mate.
Congratulations, and I hope you've enjoyed being above us in the league for 24 hours. 23 hours.
At this moment, I don't care. I think for me, it's more about the fact that it was a solid performance more than anything. I mean, obviously, I want the win, and it's great to get 3 points, and it shuts a few people up. But I'm not going to suddenly go, we're all fixed. I'm not like you, Andy. I'm not going to go, we're back. That's not me, really. I'm still...
That didn't last long, did it?
Didn't know, mate. So I'm not going to go there with it, right? We've 48% possession away from home, 11 shots, 7 on target is the big one for me. That means, whatever we were doing, we managed to have good quality chances rather than pot shots and things like that. So that's really good. And we limited Brentford, who are high scoring and been incredibly successful this season. We limited Brentford to just 0.69 XG from open play, which is really, really good. So our setup is what I was most pleased with, and I'm hoping that he can continue that and keep this formation the way it is. But
that's what I was going to say, mate, because I think it sounds to me like you got the opposite situation to us, right? We got 3 points and we shouldn't have, and I'm not convinced that things are getting any better. You sound like you've got some structure in place. You've got it feels like there's a system and a way of playing that you're quite happy with now. The question not to be answered, but almost like a statement from me, really, I guess, is will he tinker with it next week, or will he continue to play the same hand? Because it sounds to me like you might have found a bit of a formula there, because Brentford ain't no pushover, right?
I totally agree with you. For most of the season, I've been talking about the fact that his as in Hösler's natural formation, the way he wants to play is to evacuate the midfield. And this was very much a different way of playing, in my opinion. It's subtle, for a lot of people might not notice it, but trust me, it was there. And it was very much keeping people in midfield and making sure that we were not easily, counted on. And if we can continue that, mate, you're quite right. I think we've got an option there. But the famous tinkering of Fabian Hösler, he's literally kept one team the same for one game. That's it.
Yeah, but don't underestimate the power of the fans, as we found out this week. If the discontent has quietened down somewhat at Brighton this week, he might look at that and go, might have a bit of an easier life if I stick to this. Do you know what I mean? So
hopefully.
Yeah,
listen,
well done,
table.
Mate.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. So in the table, as we talked about earlier, so both of us now have played 27 games. Palace is 13th, Brighton are 14th. Brighton 34 points, Palace 35 points. And if I do a quick sum, I will tell you that currently we expect European football to be 8th place. So that will be 38 points. So Palace are only 3 points away from European football. Brighton are only 4 points away from European football. And if we look the other way, currently in 18th is West Ham on 25 points. So Brighton are 9 points, Palace 10 points away from the relegation zone. So it's looking a little nicer, a little more comfortable.
Mate,
but
I really don't think either of us are going down now. I think that there was an outside shot anyway. I mean, and unless this, there's got to be a serious big resurgence, and the dismal form has got to continue to run. Which, of course, we've now picked up. What is it like? We've picked up 6 points in 2 weeks or whatever, 2.5 weeks or whatever it is. So I think it's I think we're both going to be all right. The question is, though, like, are we going to have enough to push for that Europe thing? I don't think we will. I mean, we've got, ironically, mate, we've had favourable fixtures. We talked about this, right?
You have, yeah.
We had every opportunity up until the last 2 fixtures where we got Arsenal, and I can't remember someone else before that. There's this gap now between now and the end of season where we've got games that we can win. I mean, granted, I was looking at Man United as a game that we could win up until a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think there is an opportunity for a turnaround, and that was what I was hoping, potentially, for a bit of a clean slate in order to do it. But look, we have to look at the reality of it and not get too bogged down in all of the dismal performances and all the other bits and pieces. Look, as a club like ours, the ultimate achievement in every season is to go, are we all right? Are we here for next year? Right? It's true, though. You've got to look at it like that. You have, because I mean, Tottenham would be loving in our position now, wouldn't they? Right?
Yeah,
West Ham would be. So, yeah. And then it's, what else can we do?
Yeah.
And hopefully, maybe one of us might be able to pull. I mean, I'd prefer if it was me. If we could do something good, but let's see.
Let's see. I'll see you in a few moments. We'll be back to talk all things European football.
Welcome back, everyone. So Neil said we were going to be talking everything European football. Which club is that? Which club is that then? Is that?
Oh, it's my favourite club. Zrinski,
right.
The side that we love so much.
The club that you publicly mocked me for not being able to pronounce on social media this week. I enjoyed that, by the way.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes. So it was the first leg. Flew out to, I didn't, but the team did, flew out to Bosnia. I think, there was only like 500 fans in a little cage at the top of a stand. Did you see the pictures of where they were?
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Ooh. That's true fanhood, that, isn't it? Getting to those games. I mean, good on them, the ones that did go. I think that's fantastic. And, they almost got a win.
Yeah, but mate, I mean, this is just us to a T, isn't it? I mean, really, really frustrating watch again. Is the truth of the matter, and a questionable lineup as well. Like, did we play our best team in a knockout? Like, we didn't, did we? And yeah. Anyway, look, we handed debuts to Brennan Johnson, who, let's be honest, Spurs, when we signed him for 35 million and broke our transfer record, laughed at us. I think, and told us we had our pants pulled down, and we were like, no, he's going to come good. I am all for backing everybody, and I do back him, but he hasn't shown us yet that we have put our money in our pockets for good reason. And unfortunately, this game was one where I didn't see anything from him. I didn't see it again. He didn't have the effect on the game that he should have had. And even Strand Larsen, I think you could probably count on one hand how many touches he had of the ball in this game. So yeah, they got their debuts, but didn't really nothing to write about. And then Sosa came into the starting lineup again. What was nice to see about Sosa is that he did actually cross the ball a few times, which we bought him for, is the truth of the matter. That's why we bought him. But again, didn't really have much impact, to be brutally honest.
You said the lineup was questionable. I mean, when I look at that lineup, there's nothing in that apart from Riyad and Sosa. I mean, generally speaking, everyone else is first teamers. Everyone else is starters, most of them. You got Richards, Lacroix, Riyad. So Sosa, Kamada, Wharton, Munoz, then Sarr, Johnson's behind Strand Larsen. That's a fairly strong side, Andy.
No, it is, but I think this is the problem, right? Is that he's picked the side to play the system, and you've got Brennan Johnson who can't play the system yet,
right?
I mean, who in that team is beating a man at the moment? And
Well, I
this
mean,
is why I look at the, like Gessan, say, for example, thank God he proved me right today, because he came on,
Yeah.
he did start beating players, and his creativity and all the other bits and pieces. And I think I just he should be starting games, because he's the only spark that we could have to make something happen. And he's the only one that's willing to push a forward ball in and all the other bits and pieces. I feel like this lineup that we played wasn't the best lineup to beat a team of players that are going to sit 11 behind the ball. And I don't know, it just felt a little bit. And obviously, look, I mean, tell me a game since Sosa's signed where he's done what he's,
Oh no, he's
like, this is. And
But
so,
Andy, I mean, you you can't really moan at a guy that you signed for what, £1 million or something. Like, I mean, it's not exactly like, you guys. It's the board, isn't it? It's the issue again.
you choose him over Mitchell, though, in a game that we've got to win, and then you
Well, you
kind of
haven't got to
question
win it. It's a first leg. It's a first leg. I mean, you got away with a draw, right? So
all right,
it's
okay. So
you had
Neil, look, we're in this European competition.
Yeah.
We gambled and played a completely different team to the team that we're going to play Leeds to get us into this position in the first place by playing our youth team. So we pushed that decision as to whether we qualified down the road to these qualifiers. We pissed about with Larnaca. Then we've ended up in this one now, and then we had an opportunity to beat a team from Bosnia, Neil, a team from Bosnia, right? And then we've now ended up with a draw. Granted, we got an away goal, great, but we got a draw. So we've now gone. It's basically all or nothing, right? At Selhurst Park on Thursday, isn't it, for leg 2? And so we're now in this situation where we're struggling for confidence. Glasner's getting pelters from his own stadium, and we've now got a game we've got to win to keep it all alive. Whereas this is what I mean. It's just like it's the management of the team, the management of the situation around you. It feels like it's all just a little bit out of control. But
I mean, actually, when you think about it, that's a fair point. I mean, you look at someone you're going to love me bringing them up, but Nottingham Forest, the same night they go away to Fenerbahce, which isn't it's a much harder place to go than.
Oh mate, they haven't lost
went.
a game for a very long time.
And they go away, they play a full strength side, and they beat Fenerbahce away from home 3-0, and the tie's done. You know what I mean? So,
and that's
take your
what
point.
you kind of hope to do, isn't it? Because that's what you're doing. You go there, you win the game, you get it tied up, and then it's just a fun night out in Selhurst, celebrating the fact that we're through. But now we're all going to sit there and go, lost to
Nail biter
Macclesfield,
again.
lost to Larnaca, and now we're going to lose to a Bosnian team.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to lose to a Bosnian team.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, look, we won't go into too much detail, but I think Muniz made a good clearance to keep us in it around the 20-minute mark. 5 minutes before half time, Henderson made a really good save, followed by a poor follow up from Zrinski, who kind of made a good shot. Sosa, as I said, did a couple of good crosses. Strand Larsen laid it off for Sarr, bent the ball into the bottom corner for his third European goal.
It was a lovely little goal. The goal, to be fair, Palace's goal. I thought it was a nice little
goal.
move. Yeah,
nice little bend in at the bottom corner, and that was genuinely, I believe, the only great moment of football in that whole game.
Yeah.
Second half, just 10 minutes in, Walton, who didn't have the best game, right? I mean, he was quite sloppy throughout, to be fair. And I think it's because of the fact that the people who are meant to be around him aren't in the right place. And he's misplaced a pass, a really easy pass. He's misplaced it. And it's a confidence thing, I'm sure, at the moment. And then our opponents drive through midfield, play a through ball, which we got cut open again, happening far too often. I think it was Abramovich who scored in the far corner. Really poor defending, mostly actually from Chadi Riyad in this situation, who was in the wrong place, let his marker go, and then kind of trundled back far too late, which left Henderson with literally. I mean, he didn't even dive; he was just stood there. He just had to watch it. It was one of them where you're like, oh, right, okay, and then Glasner goes, right, what's wrong here then? Johnson ain't done much. Let's bring on Pino. Yeah. Which, again, didn't particularly change much at all. Obviously, Lacroix came off with an injury, replaced by Canvo. And, mate, I mean, I'm using that word. I mean, this is the problem, you see, because we're now talking about a game that's happened before the game that I've just moaned about. But, mate, we just looked really shaky.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable in possession, vulnerable every time they ran at us. And, yeah, I mean... Look, I mean, there was a penalty shout, which we were really lucky to get away with. Muniz, did you see that? Muniz kind of handled the ball. I mean, to be fair, VAR, it wasn't particularly clear. It was really hard with the angle. But, I mean, we could have lost this game if we weren't lucky with that VAR decision.
I thought it was going to give it because it's one of those where in European
football... He went over
to
the monitor, didn't he?
Yeah, in European football, generally, those things are just given. They're just literally touches your hand, that's it, whether you like it or not, So I was very surprised that the referee was strong enough to go, that's not handball. I mean, as a non-biased person, I was looking at it thinking, that's not handball, obviously. In normal way, that's not handball. But in European football, usually they're given.
But I got very confused by it all because the communication wasn't great. But I think that actually what ended up happening was a foul against Muniz, for Muniz, in Muniz's favour, because which ended up with him losing his balance and ended up handballing it. Do you get what I mean? I think it ended up working in our favour, but it was all very, very confusing. But yes, last 10 minutes of the game, mate, was just pretty much the same as in every game I've watched for quite a while this year. Struggling to create clear-cut chances, trying to play the same tactics over and over again, and long throws, sideways balls, and unfortunately we've lost some of the play. Everyone keeps saying that Palace haven't been able to replace the players they've lost. Like, who have we lost? Like, we've lost Gay and we've lost Eze. Right, it's two players.
I mean, you're not going to suddenly be able to replace Mark Gay because he's literally a world-class defender, right? So you're not going to replace him, of course. And Eze is a very unique talent.
As we found out tonight. I mean, he scored a brace.
Yeah, he only does it against Tottenham. But yeah, it's like you literally they just bring him out against Tottenham and he scores a couple of goals or so, and then they put him back for 6 months. But those as players, they're very unique players, and of course you're not going to suddenly have them. It's like Brighton. I'm not saying they're the same level, but Brighton this season are missing João Pedro hugely because we just haven't replaced that level of player. So
I think
my
point is, Neil, is that it's like I think the media is portraying it as like that we've had this big summer sale that we've sold everybody, and it's like, well, we haven't, have we? We haven't. Like, what we have done is we've been found out with our system. That's the biggest problem that we've got right now. People know what we're going to do, and we are predictable. And whether we're more predictable now because we've lost the spark of them two players, that is a contributing factor, but it's not everything, right? But anyway, there we go. We failed to take advantage of our dominance is probably the best statement that we could say on this one. 72% possession, Neil. 11 shots, 5 on target. Yet another game where we lacked imagination and conviction, I think is probably the best way to say it. No plan B to our existing style of play. So, yeah, we drew a game that it looks like we were probably going to win and scrape through. Let's hope that the momentum of, in essence, 4 points, I know it don't work quite like that because it's a knockout game, but 4 points in a week as opposed to no points in a week gives us a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
And that we go into next week with a bit of oomph, because if nothing's going to motivate you more than being knocked out of Europe, which potentially, let's be honest here, could be our only chance in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, how long will we have to wait again?
No, you're right, mate. You're right.
To get to where we are now. So I think our only chance of getting into Europe this season is to win it.
Yeah. And I tend to agree with you.
Let's try really bloody hard in this game and actually show some kind of passion. Neil.
You'll be fine, Andy.
Don't. Not having it.
Okay, well, look, we'll wait and see with bated breath what happens on Thursday. After the Thursday, we have Premier League back, and we have one more fixture to talk about each of us. So Brighton are going to be at home against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, we're both playing on Sunday, aren't we? 2 p.m.
Yeah. So Nottingham Forest, it's a bit of a confusion, bit of a joke club at the moment, as we know. They're on their 17th manager, I think it is, this season.
Fourth this season.
Oh, is it fourth? Yeah. Right, I lost count.
So don't exaggerate, Neil. This is a factual service. Thank you.
Vitor Pereira took over last week, and he oversaw the European game, which obviously, as I said earlier, they beat Fenerbahce 3-0. And then today, I think they played, didn't they, as well? And they lost 1-0 to Liverpool.
Back to normal. And to be fair, the what I kind of saw and heard very quickly was that Liverpool were lucky, even by their own manager's account of things, that a draw would have been a better result.
Yeah, I think this is a tougher game now than it would have been if Sean Dyche was in charge. I think now the way they're playing, they've started to change their formation a little bit again. It's very close to the Nuno style, let's put it that way. And so if they can bring back the good times when Nuno was about, then they've got a chance. They currently sit in 17th place on 27 points, and
they ain't going to stay down there.
I don't think so either, mate. Yeah.
I really can't see it.
No,
I mean, I'd love it after, all of the Marinakis stuff. There's no team that I would like to see go down more.
Their squad quality is just better, in my opinion, than a few more of those teams out there. So
yeah, I agree. But are they going to get the better of you, though, is the question.
That is the question, mate. It's too soon for me to sit here and say we're in good form. All I will say is if we play exactly the same way that we played against Brentford, then we have a chance. Having said that, Brentford and Nottingham Forest are two very different teams. So, the styles are different, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm imagining Fabian Hürzeler cannot wait to tinker with the starting 11. He will not be able to keep his little fingers off it, and he will want to make a few changes. I am hopeful. Look, let's be honest, mate. We need another 3 points. Like, if we've got any sort of trying to get anything out of this season, we need to start winning some games, full stop. And we need to win 3 or 4 in a row to have any sort of chance of anything this season.
Well, and this would be chalked up on your board as a game that you should be winning.
I agree. So I think 3 points is the absolute minimum of what we need. If we can get 4, that'd be even better.
Brilliant. If we can get 4.
What about you? What have you got?
I look at this as an opportunity for Brighton, a rare opportunity for Brighton, given the way the fixtures fall at the moment, where this time next week, you could be above us if you play your cards right? Because you've got a winnable game, and I think we've got a tough one.
So who have you got?
Don't get me wrong, I'll always back my team, and I will. I've been a bit negative today, but we've got Man United, who, if you have a look at their last 6, they've won 4 and drawn 2.
Yeah.
So this is evidence of a team that have found a bit of confidence now, and obviously it's at Man United, right?
Okay.
I think we've got a bit of a tricky one here. So we don't forget that we've got a game on Thursday at Selhurst as well.
Yeah, and I think also, dare I say it, Thursday it could go extra time. It could go penalties.
Oh yeah,
it could be a late night.
It's an 8 o'clock kickoff as well, right? So it's already a late school night.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see what happens, mate. We've got to sort a lot of stuff out before. I mean, bearing in mind how much we struggled against Wolves and Burnley and, a Bosnian team, without any disrespect to them, but they ain't at the level of a Premier League team, right? This is going to be the first proper opposition that we come up against in a while.
Yeah.
But then, do you know what? Maybe, I don't know, Man United will probably try and play a game against us. So...
Well, Man United at home at this moment in time, they're going to go for it. And
this is what I mean. So maybe
that plays into your hands a little bit.
We might be able to play the system that we've been trying to play against the low block for the last few games. I don't know. Let's see. I'd love it to go good, mate, and I'd love to make friends with Glasner again before he departs and lifts a trophy and all that. So let's see. It's all positive vibes out into the universe, mate.
It's all going to end in a huge fireball. You know that, don't you, with Glasner? It really will be.
Well, I was listening to the radio on the way home, and there was a lot of people saying that they wouldn't be surprised if he was called to a meeting in Soho on Monday.
Oh,
but
really?
Let's see.
I don't know. I get the feeling that they've stuck it out this long. I think it would be strange to try and change it now just before the second leg of this European game. To me,
it would be strange, Neil, but here's something coming from a Palace fan and I've been going since I was a junior Eagle, and I haven't even in the days of Roy Hodgson, you know, and don't get me wrong, there were some good days of Roy Hodgson, but the end of it was drab, and it was looking like we were going down. I've never witnessed what I witnessed this afternoon at Selhurst Park, and Steve Parish was there watching it too. So I think if there was any doubt that there was any discontent amongst the fans, and that they feel like maybe they might be getting taken the mick out of a little bit, then yeah, now is potentially the time. But is it the right time before Thursday? I don't know. If we're out of the Conference League, I don't think there's any point in him sticking around.
And that's it for Seagull Eagle. Thank you very much for listening.
Make sure you follow the show so you don't miss the next episode when it drops, because it's going to be a good one.
You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Just search Seagull Eagle and get the conversation started.
Or you can drop us an email at seagullweaglepodcast@gmail.com.
And we'll be back next week to talk about the European second leg, Nottingham Forest, Man United, and anything else that might have happened at that time. You never know. Glasgow out, maybe. Until then.
Eagles! 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 Eagles!